You know, I'm already sold on Nintendo Monopoly when you put Yoshi and DK right next to each other. It's almost like they put Alanos Gateway Avenue in here, but maybe there's time constraints, so they're like, oh, you know what? You want to get that Spire fan sale? Boom! You know what? That is probably one of the best bait and tackles against me I've ever seen. Is this all in my head? I don't know. That's pretty good. This is pretty good marketing, you know. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I'm world renowned and famous and the #1 marketing target here for Nintendo Monopoly. I'm gonna be honest. The last Monopoly game I played was as a little kid, and it was Monopoly Junior at my neighbor's house. So definitely not the target demographic. I'm not against playing it though. In fact, I do. A board game night with a couple good friends every few months, and I actually brought up the idea of Monopoly. We play, you know, one of my good friends, Trevor Adkins, he wants to do pretty high skill ceiling board games, and so we've kind of been after that, and it's both an ambiguous joke but not joke that I would like to play Monopoly. It's almost like a blunt full circle, like you're with your competitive video game friends, and then someone says, hey, do you guys just want to play some Super Mario Brothers tonight, you know? And which is not an easy game, you know. If you've never beat Super Mario Brothers and you try to beat it on one run without save files, it's definitely not easy. But it's definitely that kind of classic full circle. And, you know, marketing-wise, I will say, when I reopened the box, I was like, wait, that's right, you get Mario dollars. You know, there's money matches going around at fighting game tournaments, and I know my good friend Romeo would love a Mario 10. In fact, ironically, this is probably worth more than $10 to him. Like, here's the Mario 10. Honestly, like, you know how some people frame dollar bills? Now that I say that, I'm actually a little bit worried about people trying to resell the individual bills. But you know what? If people get enjoyment out of something that does look pretty cool like this, that's awesome. And that's the thing about good friends is, like I said, I'm 30 years old and about to turn 31, and I have to remind myself that every few months I get together with, again, Trevor Atkins, my good friend Brett Henderson. He's the one that hosts these, right? Ryan Green. You know, we've had a few other people join us. Ramen Noodles, aka Michael Torres, Yaron, aka Cameron, and it's been great. I've really enjoyed, you know, getting together playing board games, and it's been so normal to me about how Brett and Trevor I've known since elementary school. You know, I've known Michael and Ryan since middle school. I didn't really start becoming friends with Michael until high school, just because we started talking with band and stuff, and we both liked Mega Man. And then, you know, I've known Cameron for it'll be 9 years coming up. And anyway, you know, I've known all these people for quite a while, and it's so good. Friends are such a normal part of my life, to the point that when I hear other people say you have really good friends, I'm just like, oh, they're being nice, right? My mom, my dad, and ironically other new friends, they'll make observations about my friends, and you know, it's consistently kind. And I just remember years ago, you know, again, to me, I kind of grew up not being self-centered. I'm not going around saying, yeah, I got better friends than anyone, right? That's right, you know, there's a reason they're my friend, you know. Hearing from other people you have good friends, at first I was like, oh, again, you know, they're being nice. But I started hearing more of what they actually were saying, and I was like, is this not normal? And, you know, this isn't imposter syndrome, but, you know, my stepdad a few years ago, he was talking to me about, he was complimenting me. He was complimenting me in the way I, just in general, present myself, and the way that I you know, the way I have, how me and my friends interact. And he's done it before. He has give me kind words about things like presentation skills, the way I share things. And again, at first when I hear it, I was like, well, you know, Alan is a very polite guy, and I think he's being kind here. And then I really pick up that it's not. I really, you know, I pick up on how genuine that is. And not that I didn't think it was, but again, when I hear compliments going my way, I tend to be like, oh, that's a nice comment, right? I hope that person is polite to other people. And then I had to really sit there. I was like, oh, this, you know, the more I reflected, I was like, this is an individualized compliment. And these type of individual compliments about my friends and the way I interact with them, it got me realizing more and more that a lot of people not only kind of struggle to make new friends a lot, but to maintain them. And that actually was a crazy, it's not that I was living in a bubble, but again, it's almost its own form of imposter syndrome of I don't, you know, I never want to say, oh, I'm better than someone, right? And so in this case, when it takes other people to tell me, dude, your friend group is amazing, you know, once I get past the, oh, this is more than just a nice comment. This is a rarity. What's going on here? And I start asking around, and this has been going on for a few years, and yeah, it turns out that there's quite a lot of people that make friends in a group in college, and then after college is done, they hardly hear from any of them. Sometimes never again. And never again as in maybe even just a few years, but sometimes people go decades without hearing from those people again. And I'm finding out, and you know, in the age of the internet too, I'm not just talking about people that went to college in the 80s, right, and they don't hear from their friends again. That they met there, but I'm talking like recent now. Like when I graduated in 2019, there were people that graduated only a few years before me, and they would just tell me or tell a friend that would tell me that they'd have a lot of falling out with people, and usually it was not like in a negative way. It was just like there's this loss of keeping track of people, of friendships, right? And so when I hear about how me going to play board games with friends I've had since elementary school is rare, yeah, it definitely threw me off. And I thought more about, okay, who am I as a person in this case? And it's like, well, I do value the individual. And so I think there is an aspect of professional presentation and making people feel heard. And I look at how other people present themselves, and to me, when I hear people say, hey, if you know someone that's struggling, reach out, I'm never going to undermine that statement. To me, when I hear, oh, reach out, I'm like, wait, that's just a week, though. That's just a normal week, right? To me, I love keeping track of how people are doing and reaching out. So it really did take quite a few people to tell me that my friendship is rare, because by default, I'm already checking in on them. By default, I'm already wanting to, when I meet a new person, say, who are you as a person, right? What do you like to do? What are your ambitions? I think also being able to listen is an important skill. I think we live in a world where so many people want to praise about themselves. And I'm really trying to avoid praising me. You know, that's kind of ironically, but in the case of what this topic is, you know, when I hear other people say, Pete, you have a really good friend group, and I'm like, that's rare? I'm like, yes. And I go, I hope that's not rare in the world. But I'm finding out more and more that there's a lot of people that, again, trying to make and maintain friendships can be challenging. And, you know, obviously, you know, there are a lot of different aspects here. There's a grass is greener syndrome with social media and people posting the best of their lives, but not showing a lot of hardships in general. A lot of like social groups, some people, you know, get caught up in being busy. I think being busy is good, you know, work, making sure your home is clean, you know, go do your errands in general, right? So sometimes it can be hard to find time to do that. And then there's also the aspect of, you know, parasocial dynamics and, you know, oh, and FYI, you know, misbehaving on streams, you might have to talk to a few of my moderators. AKA, they're going to be polite. Picture unrelated. But jokes aside, the parasocial dynamic of online things is its own form of some people don't have a lot of friendships, so they try to latch onto someone else's life, and the other person might not know them as much. And it shows that there's that human ambition for finding a group to connect with. And I think the key to all of this is it's a bit of risk-taking. And I guess to me, it never felt like a risk. Going out and making new friends, maintaining friendships, never felt like a risk to me. It's just reflecting, this is who I am. I've had people, at Pokemon tournaments over the years that get into the game. They love trading. And multiple times they've asked me to help them with trading. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I want to trade with people, but I don't know how to basically do an opener. Walk up to people and say, who wants to trade? And, the people that have told me this, I don't see them as, like, socially anxious. But I've realized that I do think as the years have gone by and we've talked more online and in texting, that genuine, like, in-person human communication, that can be naturally lost as an opening skill. And so I think there is a little bit of potential being gone of making new friendships. Obviously, again, the challenge and the risk is, just last week I talked about shows that say, hey, be careful talking to strangers. So there really is, that kind of risk dynamic of you got to be careful on who you run into, but without taking that risk of like putting yourself out there and just talking to someone, you can miss out on genuine friendships. I don't want anyone to get anxiety over this. It's more about the fact that I think some people have become so secluded that there is almost a lost art of casual conversation turning into potential friendships, and then long-lasting friendships, which again take effort. To me, it doesn't feel like effort. To me, reaching out to people and saying, how's it going? How's your life been? That seems normal to me. And I'm hoping that more people in the real world understand that the core of all of this is being a good listener. If you're a good listener, people can share more about their lives. And ironically, you'll probably find more and more people wanting to listen to you. And again, if you feel like a lot of your friends have fallen out, never take that personal. I think that's a big thing too. In fact, I think a lot of friendships end when it gets personal. You haven't talked to me for years since college. What's going on? I see how it is. You got your nice house, your nice family, your nice dog. It's like, whoa, all that. And it could just be passive aggressively, like through messages through other people, right? And so being able to avoid those petty snowball discussions is important. Pettiness is so easy to start. Pettiness is so easy to do that if we can avoid being petty altogether, if we can avoid going down these pitfalls of woe is me and turn that into, oh wow, they've been busy, oh, they have a family, I'm so happy for them, you know what, maybe I should say something. Hey, it's been a while, do you want to get coffee? Hey, are you busy? You want to just talk a little bit about this new movie that came out, right? There's I think that's kind of the genuine beauty of conversation, is some people can overthink it. But with things like the Super Mario movie coming out in April, and again, Super Mario Brothers is such a well-renowned game, that right there is a simple, some people would call it an icebreaker. To me, it just feels like, hey, let's talk about, did you see the Super Mario Bros. Movie in April? Now, by the time of summer, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, and that's an easy way that if you haven't seen a friend in years, you could catch up by just starting with that. And I think, honestly, when it comes to genuine friendships, it's important to hold on to those. Start reflecting on who are my friends that like to actually listen to me, right? And I hope, there's quite a few. And if not, be the change of the world. Start listening to other people talking and truly understand, their diverse angle. I think we all live a different life. I think that's the beauty of life, is all of our experiences coming together and sharing that. Creating a piece of a giant puzzle and being able to see, wow, life can be awesome, even when it's just you and your friend getting a coffee late at night playing Street Fighter. Those memories will last for a lifetime. I love Mondays.